Hello! I have a slightly different setup today in my dye studio. With my camera, I have my regular camera instead of my phone, and it's on a tripod. So I'm hoping this works better. My lighting is from the side here, so I don't know how that'll work. We'll give it a whirl. Alright, so today, like I said a few minutes ago, I want to dye something bright and cheerful for spring, summer time frame. And I think I want to make it into a sock set. I haven't decided what the complimentary sock mini skein is going to be yet, but I think I'm going to wait till I dye the main skein and then see how it looks and what I want to have as that mini skein. If I end up adding speckles, I might take the speckle color and do a mini skein so that the speckles tie in with the mini skein. Anyways, I'll figure that out in a little while. But before I get started dyeing this morning while my yarn is soaking, I thought I would talk a little bit. This morning I was listening to Sally Clarkson. She has a podcast and has been around for a really long time. And she does regular podcasts, like multiple a week. They're all audio podcasts. And she does a lot of talking on motherhood, which obviously I am a mom. Maybe not obvious. If you've watched my episodes, you know that I am a mom of 3 kids. I homeschool my children, and Sally Clarkson also homeschooled hers. And so her goal is just to kind of be encouragement and to offer discussion and ideas around being a woman and being a mother. Yes, and a Christian too. So today I decided to try to paint a little bit because I hadn't done that in a really long time. And so I wanted to because today's Saturday, and my husband and my son are off at a swim meet and the girls are playing, so I've had some quiet time and I'm trying to nourish my soul, I suppose, as opposed to just being busy doing things I have to do or doing things I want to do for the yarn dyeing business. I thoroughly enjoy it, but there's always a goal in mind, whereas like just doodling and painting and doing my quiet time is just to fill my soul. It's not for anyone else. So I think that's important to have that time. Anyways, while I was painting, I was listening to Sally this morning. I didn't get through her whole podcast, but she has a Tea Time Tuesday where she chats about whatever's on her mind. And today she was talking about excellence and how like some of the great musicians and stuff spoke about how they became excellent at what they did, and that it wasn't just pure talent and magical snap your fingers, I was born amazing type thing. It also took a lot of hard work. I'm sure there's plenty of talent that comes into that as well, but it was diligence and hard work and time and effort. And so she brought that into today and how both as adults and children, the technology, like social media and having a screen near you at all times, it can zap that time from you and it can take away from the opportunity to develop excellence in something. Like if you're a musician and you have a lot of free time, or you have some free time when you're not doing other things, like you could take that to practice as opposed to mindlessly scrolling through things. And she was talking about how with her children, each home is different and each parent is different, each life is different. So things look different for everyone, of course. But try to make a conscious effort to not have unlimited screen time for your children so that they can have time to expand their mind and have time to focus on things that they would otherwise just go straight to, that instant gratification of a screen. I do, and I have always actually, as a homeschooling mom, tried to practice this. And I know in my own life, it's very easy to while away the time with, Instagram or YouTube. And I'm saying all this while filming for YouTube, but that's okay. It's not bad by any means. I think it's wonderful, and you can learn so much through it and relate and bond with other people through the social media. However, especially as children developing, I think that opportunity to be bored is critical for their development, and it's a really, really good thing. So if they have the opportunity to have time to become bored, it's an opportunity for creativity and to, broaden their mind and to problem solve. So I try to practice that. It can get a little annoying when they come to you like, oh, I'm bored, blah, blah, blah. But, you can respond with, fantastic. It's an opportunity to problem solve and get creative. What can you do to make yourself not bored? Sometimes easier said than done. Especially and this is very dependent on your children's ages as well. Depending on their ages and also how much they're used to it. Being homeschooled and having had a philosophy of somewhat minimal screen time for my children from a young age, they kind of know that they're not just going to get screen time if they come to me and get bored. And so I think that definitely helps me not become so annoyed with them, because they're not going to nag for it, because they know that mommy's mean mommy, and I'm going to say, no, go get creative, or I have something for you to do. There's always a chore. Now that is a good trick. If you are a mom and your kids come to you and say they're bored and you want them to go play and not bug you, just say, fantastic, I have chores for you. And if I see you again in the next half an hour, I'll give you one. Speaking of child, yes, Kason?
Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you talking to?
The screen. Here, my camera.
Is it on?
It is on. Would you like to come say hi? You're in the screen. You're in the shot. Okay. So my daughter needs help making pancake mix, so I am going to go help her. And then she and her sister are going to cook breakfast for me. This is one huge benefit of having kids that have gotten older. Oh, my one daughter wants to make breakfast all by herself. And their favorite thing to make is pancakes.
Or waffles.
Or waffles, anything that's going to be sweet. So, a huge benefit to having kids getting older. So, I will be back. Alright, I got her all settled with her pancake mix. And I will be checking on her. And her sister's in there. They've done this a few times before. Especially the older one. They love pancakes. Alright, so what I'm doing now is letting the excess water drain out. It has been soaking, I don't know, maybe an hour. Let's see. And I don't necessarily want it soaking wet, but nicely damp is good. It has been made this little board, you can't see it. It has some hooks above my little workstation out here in the garage. So it works for hanging the yarn up. And like I said a while ago, I've started using gloves even when handling the yarn when it's not dyed. like, you know, when it doesn't really matter. It wouldn't really matter if I touched it by any means, but it dries out my hand. Because I do put a little bit of acid in the water because this is called acid dyeing, and in order for the dye to adhere to the protein fibers in the animal-based fiber that we have here, it needs the acid to react with the dye and adhere to the fibers. So I soak it in a light acidic water, and then I put a little bit of acid in my dye pot as well. And so you can use vinegar or citric acid. I have not tried to dye gold stellina or silver stellina, the stuff with the shiny strand that goes through it. I have heard that citric acid can make that dull. So if you're experimenting with dyes at home and you're dyeing something with that little shiny strand through it, maybe go for vinegar instead of citric acid. I tend to use, I have both. Right now I use more vinegar than anything else. So before I actually start dyeing, one of the things I do, because I am in the garage and it can get dusty, I wipe down all of my surfaces and I rinse out all of my pots. They've been cleaned since last time I dyed, but I don't want dust or anything in them. So that is what I'm doing now. So sometimes my videos, I have my phone from above. I don't know if I'm going to do that today or not, but the area may look dirty, but it's not. It might be stained. I have that watermelon tablecloth that I use just to protect things, and it is definitely stained from dyes, but I always wipe it down before I start dyeing. So during the dyeing process, of course, it gets watermarks, and the glass surface of the burners get watermarks and probably some dye on them as well, but they've been cleaned prior to dyeing. So rest assured, I'm not dyeing your yarn in garage dust. Clean any of that up beforehand. So, you know, just as with anything, the process of doing things is not as glamorous in reality as it sometimes appears from the outside. I mean, when you look at somebody dyeing yarn and like I do those fast forward little clips of dyeing yarn, it just looks like all the fun parts. Because that's what people want to see, right? You don't want to see the cleaning part. But as with anything, it comes with just the basic necessities of the boring part of things. Like, I didn't realize how much computer work comes along with all of this. I mean, in order for people to know my yarn exists, I need to show them that it exists. And then you have to post things on your shop and figure that out. You have to keep track of your inventory and your money. So, yep, everything you do comes with some parts drudgery, I suppose. But at least right now, the benefits, sorry for the noise, or benefits not the right word, the joy and the fun part totally for me outweighs any of the drudgery part. I'm not doing it every single day, I'm doing the dyeing part every single day, and it is certainly not my full-time job. My homeschooling is my full-time job. I have to remind myself of that on a regular basis, that homeschooling is my full-time job. I do think, even with all the drudgery parts, that this is quite fun. And I imagine, I mean, we will see what the future holds, but I imagine that eventually, if this became my full-time job, I would still enjoy it. But you never know. You never know what the future holds. As the Bible says, I don't know if I'm going to quote this right at all. Don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has enough worries for itself. So live today and do what needs to be done today and enjoy the time I have today. That's what I'm planning to do, especially since for me this is Saturday and I don't have all of my regular stuff to do. So I can focus on yarn and color, and I'm very excited about it. So I will show you what I make here shortly. Okay, so I just finished mixing up my dye, and now that the dye powder is all in the solution with the water, I don't have to wear my mask anymore. This should make dyeing a little more pleasant using a solution, which I've used before, but recently I've been doing more powder dyeing. But I don't have to wear my mask when I don't have the dye powder out. So, here goes. I think I'm going to call this Strawberry Lemonade. So, alright, I'm going to put on my gloves, and I am going to turn on a podcast to keep me company. I was recently watching Knitting Traditions podcast. She has such a beautiful place that she lives up in Norway, so I enjoy watching her. She has nice cold weather all the time too, so she gets to wear her knits all the time. And I didn't mention what I'm wearing today. This is the Penguono, made of scrap yarn that I'd had for a really long time, and it is fine for dyeing because it's not something I'll wear out of the house really. It's like a house coat, and it has lots of colors in it anyways, so it's all good. So my yarn is damp but not soaking wet anymore. I will be putting this here in my pot